The company won the Program of Partnership in the Field of Mass Media UMPP. For 10 years already it established and develops lasting ties between the USA and Ukrainian media. The organizer of the program is an international company, IREX. Nobody has collaborated with this organization in the sphere of electronic media area before. Pulsar TV has become a pioneer of American journalistic traditions. An American channel, WSIL, has become our partner. By the way, an exchange experience with foreign colleagues was also a completely new practice for this company too. The choice of this media was not accidental. It works in small town Carterville, Illinois. WSIL is similar to our channel by target audience area of coverage, ownership in both channels. The owners, the president and general manager is represented by one person, Steve Wheeler and Oleg Kasyanenko. The main priority in the work of both partners is the news. The representative TV Pulsar was the first to cross the ocean. 11 hours flight by 3 planes, and the president and general manager, a journalist and a cameraman of our channel go to town Carterville, Illinois. State Illinois is the fifth of population in the USA. Its landscapes and climate are very much similar to Ukrainian. Although unlike Ukraine, it is often visited by tornadoes. This state has also other names. They show the characteristic figures of this region. The Americans has called Illinois the state of prairie and the land of Lincoln. Both nicknames are justified. The American forest steppes are named prior. The state is mainly covered by them. In addition, it is the place where the 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, began his political career and lived much of his life here and found his ultimate shelter. There is his grave in the capital of Illinois, Springfield. But Lincoln is not the only and the last president who loved Illinois. The most famous not only among the citizens of America, but the entire world city of the state is Chicago, which stretches along the coast of the largest freshwater lake of the USA, Michigan. We will return to the city again, but now Carterville town is waiting for us. Although it is not as impressive as Chicago, but not less colorful for Ukrainian guests. The population of the city is very small, about 5,000 people. But in the suburbs of Carterville there is a modern airport, which is not typical of similar Ukrainian small towns. One more of curiosities which you have already learned is the powerful channel WSIL. His staff warmly hosted the Ukrainian media people. All the Ukrainian guests arrived at the WSIL office only late at night, but even those whose workday has already ended were waiting for representatives of the Pulsar TV. Acquaintance was sincerely and noticeable desirable. The main person of the channel is Steve Wheeler. He has been the owner and the president and general manager of WSIL already during 30 years. This combination of positions is not typical and uncommon for United States. Despite his social status, Steve is working together with his team. Channel for him, first of all, is not a kind of business, but the meaning of his life. Steve's right hand is his wife Bonnie. This energetic and sincere woman is an assistant and advisor of her husband in all matters. For her, journalism is also not an empty word. For some period of her life, Bonnie herself was a news presenter. Another not less important figure of the channel is Mike Snuffer. He is the news director of ABA Station of the Year. Many years of experience as a journalist in Texas, where he came from, contribute greatly to successful management of part of the creative team WSIL, which is about 40 people. With other no less important figures of the channel, we got acquainted directly at their workplace. People from Pulsar with their head plunged into the production kitchen of their foreign brothers. The Ukrainians looked into every corner. In the USA, workers of even small channels can boast with their technical In the USA, workers of even small channels can boast with their technical capabilities. Their journalists have their company's cars and MTS mobile television stations. With help of this miracle of technological progress, live programs can be carried and scenes on the spot created. In Ukraine, only the leading TV channels have such machines. News reports of WSIL go live. Mark, the leading news reader, has been working for the prosperity of the channel for decades. The morning program is broadcasted at 5 a.m. in the morning, so to a certain part of the team, the working day begins early at night. To satisfy its audience, WSIL regularly prepares weather broadcasting issues. A professional meteorologist, Jim Razor, works on it at the real weather station. He conducts experiments and observes the whims of nature by satellite there. The drawers from the weather station are leading right in the studio to be released during the news program. It is worth mentioning that all WSIL studios, pavilions for filming and offices are located in the same room and not isolated from each other. But visitors from Pulsar TV were particularly surprised by studio's work process. American appliances allow not only journalists and cameramen but all visitors be present while recording in the studio on air. They can freely talk and walk. In Ukraine, this process takes place behind the glass. For WSIL workers, it is very important not only the future but also past their channel. In general, this media has begun their activity more than 60 years ago. Then the channels was bought for Steve by his father Mel Wheeler. All the things that show the process of WSIL development are carefully preserved in mini museum of the channel. The representatives of Pulsar TV observed the work of WSIL employees as well as in studios and during live communication with the heroes of their future stories. Our journalist and cameraman visited the police departments and the church. We got acquainted with Carterville neighboring towns. In one of such visits, the Pulsar TV guests entered the store with Harley-Davidson brand. Though the shop is in a small town but is one of the biggest points of its brand. It is impossible to calculate the number of vehicles there. Several rooms contain unlimited dreams of any man, starting with motorcycle and completing with yachts. So our week of staying in America was full of both professional and cultural discoveries. A separate chapter in the section was Chicago. We have already mentioned its power. The city is the center of modern industry and trade. After a small 5,000 town Carterville, Chicago with its nearly 3 million inhabitants looked as a rapid waterfall life. It was exactly Chicago where the style of building skyscrapers and low houses in residential neighborhoods was born. The streets are filled with a variety of shops, bars, restaurants, nightclubs with unique jazz traditions. The symbol and the business card of the city is a monument called Gate, but people name it as a bean. If you were in Chicago and had not visited the Silver Bean, that means that you were not in Chicago. Another famous landmark of this city is Lake Michigan. It is covered with ice only 4 months. The other 270 days, the American and tourists enjoy their rest on its coast. Michigan is a favorite place for fishermen. The lake water is full with salmon, trout, carp, and perch. We have already mentioned that Illinois is the most favored state among the American presidents. The current head of the USA is not an exception. Barack Obama has also bought a house in Chicago. Modesty of the American president cannot certainly be compared to the Ukrainian Mežagiria, but the whole security and guardian system is clearly more powerful. Even if you are sitting in the car and speaking any foreign language, you cannot escape. This was noticed by the Pulsar TV guests when they saw that they were being watched from the black car by people in black suits. Having breathed American air and being energized with radically new emotions, The representatives of Pulsar came back home in order to meet their guests already in 2 months later at their office in Ukraine. The president and general manager of WSIL, Steve Wheeler, and the news director of ABA Station of the Year, Mike Snuffer, arrived to Akhtirka. They gladly got acquainted with the realities of work of their Ukrainian colleagues. They walked around the office of the Pulsar TV, its studio and departments. After observing, it was possible to share experiences. The journalists and technical personnel of our channel had a lot of questions to our foreign partners. Although taking into consideration the Ukrainian realities, it was difficult for guests to give them clear answers. The whole site tried to introduce Americans not only professional product, but also show them our Ukrainian culture. Within this plan, the first people of WSIL visited cultural landmarks of Sumy and Poltava. In Poltava, the spiritual capital of Ukraine, Americans visited the Museum of Poltava Battle, one of the main attractions of this city. The first people of WSIL could not leave Ukraine without tasting famous Poltava galushkas, native Poltava dumplings. In addition to the regional center of architectural monuments in Sumy city, they visited the birthplace of journalistic staff, Sumy State University. Visiting of Akhtirka Gymnasium was a great surprise for the Americans. Steve and Mike were at the meeting of Euroclub Eurostella members. They were pleased to hear their native language from the youngest Ukrainians. In general, the guests stressed that already at Kyiv airport they had noticed the popularity of English in Ukraine. The exchange of experiences from the both countries was in very fast rhythm. For digesting and learning everything have been seen and heard, they need some time. But gifts which were exchanged between partners will always remind about Ukraine, Americans' cooperation for both. American guests shared their impressions about their staying in Ukraine with the audience of the Pulsar TV. An exclusive interview with the president and general manager of WSIL, Steve Wheeler, is following further.